Welcome back. Today, we're going to get into something that is, well, it's probably one of the single most frustrating parts of the human experience.
That's not an exaggeration.
No, I really don't think it is. I'm talking about that moment, on a Monday morning when you promise yourself you are going to change.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to hit the gym, you're going to write that novel, you are absolutely going to stop eating sugar, you've got that fire in your belly, you are ready to go to war with yourself.
And then Tuesday happens.
Exactly. Tuesday happens, or, sometimes, let's be real, Monday afternoon happens.
Right.
The motivation just evaporates, the old habits creep back in, and you're left feeling, well, weak. You feel like a failure. And the word we always use to beat ourselves up with is willpower.
Always.
Yeah.
I just didn't have enough willpower.
Yes. We say, I just didn't have enough willpower.
It's the universal struggle. We treat it like it's some kind of fuel tank that just, leaks.
Right. And honestly, when I even think of that word willpower, It's not a happy word. It feels heavy.
It does. It has a weight to it.
It does. I immediately get this image of just like gritting my teeth. You know that face you make when you're trying to open a stuck jar of pickles?
The strained face.
That's what I think willpower is. White-knuckling it, forcing myself to do something I hate, or forcing myself not to eat the donut. It feels like a battle.
Tension.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It feels like tension, like I am fighting a war against my own brain.
And that is the modern definition, unfortunately. And I think that definition is exactly why so many people feel like they're failing.
Because we've been taught to equate will with strain.
Precisely. We think that the harder we push, the more tension we hold in our jaw, the more we furrow our brow. That means we're using more willpower.
The no pain, no gain mentality applied to psychology.
Yes. But the source material we are looking at today argues the exact opposite.
That's why I was so excited to get into this one. Because if what this guy says is true, then I have been doing it wrong for 30 years.
We all have.
We're continuing our series on Thomas Troward and his 1909 classic, The Edinburgh Lectures on Mental Science. We are on episode 11. We've been through a lot of his system already, but this specific chapter on the will, it honestly feels like a relief.
It is a relief because it takes the fighting out of the equation. Troward's thesis is very simple, but for 1909 and frankly for today, it is radical.
What is it?
He says the will is not a force of coercion. It is a force of direction.
Okay.
It's not about fighting the old. It was about choosing the new.
Not coercion, but direction.
That's fair.
That sounds lovely, but I have to be the skeptic here for a second.
Yeah, of course.
If I want to stop a bad habit, don't I have to fight it? If I want to lift a heavy weight, don't I have to strain? It almost sounds like Troward is asking us to be passive.
Not passive, and that is a crucial distinction. He is not saying do nothing. He is saying that the way you apply your power is wrong. Well, think of it like this. If you're driving a car and you want to turn left, do you get out of the car, run to the front bumper, and try to shove the entire car to the left with your shoulder?
No, that would be completely insane.
That is coercion. That is force. And that is what we do when we white-knuckle a habit. We're trying to shove the car.
Oh, I see.
Troward is saying, just turn the steering wheel. That is direction. The engine provides the power. The will just provides the angle.
Okay, I really like that image. So the mission for this discussion is pretty clear. We want to upgrade your operating system and my operating system from brute force to calm direction.
Exactly. We want to stop fighting ourselves and start steering.
Move from an architecture of tension to an architecture of focus.
That's it.
Before we get into the mechanics of how to do that, and we have a really cool rudder and oar exercise coming up later that I'm actually going to try. I have a small request. If this episode helps you, please hit like and subscribe for the next one.
It really helps us keep these coming. So let's unpack this misconception about effort, because this is the real sticking point, I think, for most high achievers.
Right. I associate value with effort. If I didn't suffer for it, I don't feel like I earned it. If I am really willing something to happen, I feel like I need to be straining. My brain feels like a flexed muscle. I'm sweating mentally. Why is that wrong? Why does Troward say that is actually counterproductive?
Because it misunderstands the nature of power. Troward was writing this in the early 20th century, but he uses an analogy that is just perfect for the visual age we live in. He compares the mind to a magic lantern.
A magic lantern. Okay, for our younger listeners, we should probably explain what that is.
Right. Think of it as the great-grandfather of the slide projector or a movie projector. It was a device with a bright light source inside. Back then, it might have been an actual flame or an early electric bulb, and a slot where you would put a glass slide with a picture painted on it.
Okay.
You shine the light through the slide, and it projects the image onto the wall.
Got it. A bright light, a glass slide, and an image on the wall. So walk me through the metaphor here.
Okay. In Troward's model, that light, that's the universal life energy. It's the creative power, the raw fuel of existence. It is infinite.
Okay, so you don't create it.
You don't create the light. You don't have to pump a generator to make it work. The light is just there, constantly streaming.
So the energy is the bulb. It's the juice.
Correct. Then you have the slide. That's the image you put in front of the light.
My thought.
Your specific thought or desire. Yes. It's the picture of what you want your life to look like. I am healthy. I am confident. I am creative. That's the slide.
And so where does the will come in?
The will is the hand that holds the slide in place.
The hand.
Yes. And really try to visualize this. The hand does not create the light.
Okay.
The hand does not paint the picture on the slide. The hand's only job is to keep the slide from shaking.
Wow. That is surprisingly delicate.
It is. It's static. It's steady. Think about what happens if your hand shakes. If your will is weak and your focus jumps from, I want to be healthy, to, oh, I'm so tired, to, I really want a cookie. Your hand is shaking. What happens to the image on the wall?
It's a blur. You can't make out what it is.
Exactly. The light cannot project a clear reality because you aren't holding the slide still.
Yeah, okay.
Now, take the other extreme, the brute force approach. If you think will is force, and you grab that delicate glass slide and you squeeze it and you jam it into the machine with all your might because you want it to happen now, what happens?
You probably break the slide. Or you jam the machine.
You break the slide or you block the light with your own hand because you're trying to interfere with the mechanism. Troward is very specific here. He says the function of the will is to hold the mental image steady against the background of the mind. It is about focus, not force.
So the most effective hand is?
The one that is relaxed but firm. It doesn't tremble, but it doesn't crush.
Relaxed but firm. That is such a hard balance to strike. But I get the distinction. The will isn't the engine, it's the stabilizer.
That's a perfect way to put it.
So if I'm sitting here gritting my teeth, I am essentially just shaking the projector.
Or you're trying to be the light bulb. You're trying to generate the energy yourself rather than just directing the energy that's already there.
Yeah.
And that leads to burnout.
Which is why you feel exhausted on Tuesday.
Exactly. You tried to power the whole machine with your little conscious mind instead of just steering it.
Okay, that transitions perfectly into the mechanics. I want to know what is happening under the hood, biologically and, structurally. Because Troward talks about the subjective mind and the objective mind, which we've covered before.
We have.
But for someone tuning in just for this, we need to bridge 1909 with modern neuroscience. How does the will fit into our actual brain architecture?
This is where Troward was just so incredibly ahead of his time. We can map his concepts almost perfectly onto modern dual process theory.
Yeah.
We've discussed how Troward's subjective mind is the part that creates reality. It's the builder. It's the part of you that keeps your heart beating, digests your food, and stored all your memories. In modern terms, we link this to what Daniel Kahneman called System 1.
System 1, that's the fast brain.
Yes. It's fast, automatic, emotional, and completely habitual. It runs the show, what, 95% of the time?
At least. When you drive to work and you don't even remember the trip, that's System 1.
Exactly. It is incredibly powerful, but it doesn't really think in the way we usually mean it. It just executes patterns.
Right. It's the autopilot, the ship's computer.
And the objective mind, your conscious reasoning, is System 2. It's the prefrontal cortex. It's slower. It burns a massive amount of glucose. It gets tired very easily.
But it has a superpower.
It has one superpower. It can make a new choice. It can decide. Troward uses the metaphor of the pilot and the ship.
The pilot and the ship. I love this one. Break it down for us.
Okay, so imagine a massive ocean liner, an absolute leviathan, thousands of tons of steel. That ship is your subjective mind.
Okay.
It has the engines. It has the power to cross oceans. It has all the momentum. If that ship is moving forward, it is almost impossible to stop.
And the pilot?
The pilot is just a person, a tiny biological entity standing on the bridge. Physically, the pilot is nothing compared to the ship.
Right.
If the pilot ran down to the engine room and tried to turn the crankshaft with their bare hands, they'd be crushed.
Which is what we do when we try to fight a habit with brute willpower. We're trying to stop the momentum of the ship with our bare hands.
Precisely. That is brute force willpower.
Yeah.
It is the tiny conscious mind trying to shove the massive subconscious mind. It never, ever works. The subconscious is always stronger.
But
the pilot has access to one specific mechanism, the wheel.
the steering wheel, the rudder.
Yes. The pilot does not push the ship, the pilot turns the wheel. And in the architecture of the mind, the wheel is attention.
Attention, that's the key word here.
That is the magic word. Willpower is not the ability to shove. It is the regulation of attention. That's the modern translation of Troward's will. It is the executive function in your brain saying, I am looking at this, not that.
So when you turn the wheel...
When you shift your attention, the massive engines of the ship, the subjective mind, do the actual turning. The pilot just selects the angle.
Okay, I want to challenge this a little bit, because saying it's just attention makes it sound so easy, but we all know that paying attention to the right thing is incredibly hard.
Of course.
If I'm on a diet and there's a fresh pizza in front of me, my attention wants to go to the pizza. It feels like the wheel is locked.
That is a great point.
Yeah.
And that is why Troward emphasizes training. The wheel can be heavy, especially if the ship is moving fast in the wrong direction.
Right.
Steering in a storm requires focus, it requires calm determination, but, and this is the key, it does not require you to jump into the water and push the hull.
So there's a difference between the effort of concentration and the effort of strain.
Yes. Differentiate this for me.
Concentration is keeping the slide steady. It's holding the image of health in your mind, even when the pizza is there. Strain is looking at the pizza and screaming, no, no, and no, no inside your head.
Oh, I see. Okay. One is focused on the destination.
The other is focused on the obstacle.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this leads us to the biggest trap. The reason why the pushing approach, the brute force method, backfires so spectacularly. Troward has a specific warning about mental strain. He considers it the enemy of manifestation.
But why? If I really want it, shouldn't I be straining?
No, because the subjective mind system one is literal. It reads your emotional state. When you're straining, when you're saying, I must make this happen, I must stop smoking, I must work harder, what is the underlying emotion you're feeling?
Fear, anxiety, desperation, a feeling of lack, really.
Exactly. You are telling the ship, we're in trouble, we're not safe. You are signaling doubt.
So the subjective mind just says, oh, we're stressed. Okay, let's create more circumstances that match this stress.
Precisely. And because the subjective mind is a creative engine, if you feed it struggle, it creates more struggle. This is the rebound effect.
Right.
In psychology, we call it the ironic process theory.
The white bear.
The white bear. If I tell you right now, do not think of a white bear, what happens?
I see a white bear immediately, in perfect detail.
Right. To fight a thing, you have to focus on it. You have to hold the image of a white bear in your mind just to tag it with a no label. Troward says the subjective mind creates whatever receives focus.
So by fighting the negative habit,
By screaming, don't eat the cookie.
you are actually reinforcing the image of the cookie.
You're holding the cookie slide in the projector while screaming at the screen.
Wow. That is a painful image because it is so true. I am holding the slide of the thing I hate, staring at it, and wondering why it won't go away.
You are feeding it with your attention. Energy flows where attention goes. If your attention is on fighting the urge, your attention is still on the urge.
So what is the solution then? If we don't fight the darkness, what do we do? Do we just ignore it? That seems impossible.
You don't ignore it by closing your eyes. You ignore it by looking at something else. You turn on the light.
Okay.
Troward's instruction is to use the will to shift attention to the desired new pattern. You don't fight the old habit. You just take your hands off that wheel and turn the wheel toward the new destination.
And the old habit.
You let the old habit starve of attention.
Starve it of attention. That's visceral. It reminds me of that old parable about the two wolves inside you. The one you feed is the one that wins.
That's a perfect parallel.
Troward is saying, stop feeding the bad wolf, even with your hostility. Just feed the good wolf.
Yes. Indifference is a more powerful weapon than hate. Hate is a form of connection. Indifference cuts the cord.
Okay, this theory is fantastic, but I want to land the plane. I want to see how this actually works in the messy, chaotic reality of modern life. Because it's easy to be a mental scientist in an armchair. It's hard to be one when your boss is yelling at you or you're 3 days into a sugar detox.
Agreed. Let's look at the three big battlegrounds: work, relationships, and habits.
Okay, let's start with work. We live in the era of the grind set, hustle culture. The idea is that if you aren't exhausted, you aren't working hard enough.
If you aren't stressed, you don't care.
Exactly. How does Troward handle that?
Troward would call the grind set anxious striving. And he would say it is incredibly inefficient. Think about a sniper versus a machine gunner.
Okay.
The machine gunner is spraying bullets everywhere, making a lot of noise, expending massive amounts of energy. That's strain.
And the sniper?
The sniper takes one breath, aims, that's direction, and fires once.
But in a corporate job, I have 1,000 emails. I can't just snipe one email and go home for the day.
No, but you can change your state.
Hmm.
The Troward approach is about what he calls active readiness. Before you even start your workday, you use the will to restrict the field of action.
Restrict the field. What does that mean practically?
It means setting a boundary, a hard boundary for your attention. You decide, for the next 45 minutes, I am only doing this report. I am not checking Slack. I am not worrying about the meeting at 4 o'clock.
You set the slide in the projector to the report.
You set the slide, and then, this is the hard part, you relax into the work.
Relax into work. That sounds like a complete oxymoron.
It shouldn't be. You trust the engine, your skills, your subconscious competence to execute the work. You don't strain to be productive. You align your attention with the task and let the productivity flow through you.
A state of calm focus, not frantic busyness.
And if you catch yourself tensing your shoulders or shallow breathing, you stop. You reset the slide. You go back to calm.
That sounds like flow state.
It is exactly flow state. Flow is just attention without resistance. When you are in flow, are you white-knuckling it?
No, not at all. It feels easy. Time disappears.
That is the will functioning perfectly. It's holding the channel open so the power can rush through.
Okay, second context. Relationships. This is a big one. Reacting to conflict. Now, let's say I get an email from a coworker. It's passive-aggressive, it's snarky, per my last email. You know the type.
We all know that.
My immediate reaction is to snap back. My pulse spikes. That feels like a total loss of will.
It is. You have allowed the external world to dictate your internal state. Troward draws heavily on Stoic philosophy here. The will allows us to withhold assent.
Withhold assent. That is a very Stoic phrase. Translate it for me.
It means you refuse to agree with the impression. When someone insults you, that is just a vibration of air or pixels on a screen. It is neutral data. You add the interpretation that this is an injury.
So my will has the power to decide.
I do not accept this as an injury. I view this as noise.
So you use the will to put up a shield.
I'd say not a wall, but a filter. You choose the mental attitude of listening rather than defending. Listening is a direction. Defending is a force. If you can keep your mind in a receptive state, holding the slide of patience steady, the other person's anger often just passes through you. You steer around the conflict rather than ramming into it.
I love the idea of steering around the conflict. Like, oh, there's an iceberg. I could get mad at the iceberg, or I could just turn the wheel 10 degrees to the starboard.
Exactly. The iceberg doesn't care if you're mad. Just turn the wheel.
That is effective. Okay, the third one, and maybe the hardest, habit formation. We touched on this with the cookie, but how do we build something new, like a gym habit, without forcing it?
Right.
Because at 5 in the morning, my subjective mind wants to stay in bed. It does not want to go to the squat rack.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
You have to look at the timeline. Modern research talks about the 66-day rule. That's roughly the average time to form a new automatic habit.
Okay.
Troward aligns with William James, the great psychologist here.
Yeah.
The will is the architect. The habit is the builder.
The architect and the builder, I like that division of labor.
The will draws the plans. It says, we go to the gym at 7 in the morning. But the will does not build the house. The repetition builds the house.
So Troward and James would say,
use your will to protect the repetition. Do not miss a day. William James said, never suffer an exception to occur.
Never suffer an exception. That sounds incredibly strict. That sounds like force.
It's strict, but it is not heavy. Listen to the difference. Force is screaming at yourself to lift a heavy weight. The Troward approach is simply using your will to ensure your body gets to the gym.
Even if you just stretch.
Even if you only stretch for 10 minutes. You protect the consistency. You keep the slide in the projector. Consistency over intensity.
So the win isn't, I had a great workout. The win is, I stood in the gym.
Precisely. You are training the subjective mind to accept a new image. I am the kind of person who goes to the gym. Repetition impresses the image. Force just crinkles the paper.
Right.
If you go for 10 minutes every day for 66 days, you have a habit. If you go for 3 hours once and then quit because it hurt, you have nothing.
That is liberating. It lowers the bar for entry, but raises the bar for consistency.
That is the secret.
Okay, I want to try this. We promised a guided exercise. We are calling this the rudder and oar practice. This is a way to align your will for the day, and I want to do this for real right now.
Yes. This is a 5-step mental check-in. You can do this in about 2 minutes in the morning. Listener, if you can, take a second to pause and actually do this along with us. Don't just listen. Do it.
Okay, I'm ready. Step 1.
Step 1. The direction. Choose one quality you want to embody today. Not a goal like finish the report, but a way of being, a mental slide.
Okay.
Patience, clarity, courage, kindness, energy. Pick one.
Okay. I am going to pick clarity. My brain feels a bit scattered today, so I want clarity.
Good. You have your slide. Step 2, the distraction. Name one specific thing that usually pulls you off course. Be honest. Is it checking email before you get out of bed, doom scrolling, negative self-talk?
For me, it is definitely checking email too early. It just scrambles my brain. I get into reactive mode before I've even had coffee.
Okay, you've identified the storm. Step 3, the boundary. Choose one simple no. This is the will acting as the rudder. What is the boundary that protects your direction of clarity?
My boundary is no email before breakfast. Simple. Hard to do, but simple.
Perfect. You have set the rudder. Step 4, the action. Choose one small outward action that proves the direction is real. If your direction is clarity, what's an action that manifests it?
I will drink a glass of water and write down my top 3 tasks for the day on a physical piece of paper.
Excellent. That creates the physical feedback loop. It tells the subjective mind, hey, we're serious about this. And finally, step 5, the return. This is the most important part. Practice the gentle return.
What does that look like?
It means acknowledging that you will wander. You might accidentally pick up your phone. You're human. When you catch yourself, do not judge. Don't get angry. Don't say, I failed. Just use your will to gently steer your attention back to clarity, like a rudder correcting a ship. No drama, just steering.
No drama, just steering. That is going on a test shirt. It really takes the guilt out of it. If you drift, you just correct. You don't sink the ship just because you drifted a few degrees.
That is the essence of Troward's will.
Yeah.
It is constant, gentle correction. The steady hand on the wheel, not the frantic running around on the deck.
Now, even with this tool, things can go wrong. We have identified 5 common mistakes people make when trying to apply this new definition of will because, well, old habits die hard.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
The first mistake is confusing will with physical tension. We mentioned this, but check your body right now.
Okay, checking.
Is your tongue pressed against the roof of your mouth? Is your jaw tight? Are your shoulders up by your ears?
My shoulders were a little high, just drop them.
If you are physically tense, you are not using your will, you are using force. Troward is adamant about this. You must be physically calm to be mentally forceful. Loosen your grip. A tense body signals a fearful mind.
Mistake number 2, inconsistency. This is the start and stop syndrome.
Right. Troward says the law works through steady accumulation. People touch the rudder once, they meditate for one day, or they resist the donut one time, and wonder why the ship hasn't turned around.
So a fix.
You have to hold the course. It takes time for a massive ship to turn. You have to trust the lag time. Don't let the lag time fool you into thinking it isn't working.
That leads to mistake number 3, focusing on the means rather than the end.
Oh, this is the classic how. We obsess over how it's going to happen. How will I lose the weight? How will I build the business?
Right. We want the entire roadmap before we even start the car.
The will's job is to decide what. The subjective mind's job is to figure out how.
Okay.
The subjective mind has access to resources and connections your conscious mind can't even see. If you try to micromanage the how, you are stepping out of the pilot's cabin and try to run the engine room.
And you don't know how the engine works.
You don't know how it works, just steer. The fix is to trust the engine. Hold the slide of the end result and let the means appear.
Okay. Mistake number 4, impatience.
The gardener analogy. You plant the seed, which is your choice, your slide. You don't dig it up every hour to see if it's growing.
Is it a flower yet? Is it a flower yet?
Exactly.
Yep.
That kills the seed. You're introducing doubt into the system. The fix is just let it grow. Active patience. You water it, you weed the garden, which means keeping out negative thoughts, but you don't disturb the seed. You trust that the law of growth is working.
And the final one, mistake number 5, letting the environment dictate the mind.
This is the default state for, I'd say, 99% of people. We wake up, we check the news, we see disaster, and now we feel bad. The environment acted on us.
We were the effect.
We were the screen, not the projector.
And the fix for that.
Be the cause. Decide your mood before you check the news. Decide your slide before you look at the screen. Do not let the world project its slides onto your mind. You hold your own slide. You happen to the world. Do not let the world happen to you.
That is powerful. Be the cause. It's a complete reversal of how we usually live. We're usually just reacting to pings and notifications all day. Troward is saying, turn off the notifications and broadcast your own signal.
That is the definition of a strong will. a broadcaster, not a receiver.
Okay, we have covered a massive amount of ground today, from magic lanterns to ocean liners, from biological budgets to Stoic philosophy. Let's do a rapid recap to lock this in before we sign off.
Let's do it. 7 key points to take away.
First, the will is the power of choice, not the power of force. It is the hand holding the slide.
Next, the will acts as the pilot of the mind, steering the ship of your life through attention, not by pushing the hull.
Third, avoiding strain is essential. Force creates resistance and the rebound effect. Don't think about the white bear.
Fourth, the subjective mind follows the direction of the objective mind's focus. Where you look, the ship goes.
Fifth, habits are built by holding a steady image, not by fighting the old behavior. You starve the old wolf, you feed the new one.
Sixth, use boundaries, like no email before breakfast, to protect your attention from drift.
And finally, practice the gentle return. When you wander, simply steer back. No drama, just steering.
That's it.
It sounds so much more manageable when you break it down like that. It's not about being a superhero. It's about being a good pilot, a calm pilot.
It is about architecture.
Yeah.
We have spent 11 discussions now looking at the spirit, the mind, and the will. We've looked at all the parts of the machine.
But we haven't quite put it all together yet. We have the engine, we have the steering wheel, we have the hull, but how do we drive it?
Not entirely. And that is what is coming next.
This is a crescendo.
Yes. Episode 12, final synthesis, the whole method. We're going to take everything we have learned, all the mechanics, all the theory, and break down the complete architecture of Troward's system.
How do you actually live this day in and day out as a complete life philosophy?
It's going to be the blueprint.
It is. If you've listened to the first 11, you absolutely cannot miss the 12th. It ties every single loose end together. I am really looking forward to that. It's been a journey, and I feel like next time we finally get to see the destination.
Thanks for being here. If you want the full series, check the playlist. And please like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.